Welcome to the 2023-24 Financial Aid High School presentation. Tonight, we have a number of topics that we'd like to discuss. First of all, we're going to talk about what is financial aid, the cost of attendance, the expected family contribution, financial need, the categories, types, and sources of financial aid. We'll mention the CSS Profile, and talk about the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. And then we'll close out the presentation by discussing special circumstances and how you deal with them if you're completing the financial aid process. So first of all, what is financial aid? When a lot of people hear the term financial aid, the first thing they think of is free money. Well, while there are some sources of money that are gifts, in the financial aid process, financial aid consists of funds provided to students and families to help pay for post-secondary educational expenses. And some of that could be gift aid, and some of it could be self-help aid. We'll talk about both tonight. Taking a look at the financial aid office of the college, let's just go over what some of the things they're required to do might be. The goals of the financial aid office. The primary goal is obviously to assist students in paying for college, and it's achieved by, number one, evaluating the family's ability to pay for educational costs. And the way that is accomplished is by reviewing the results of the FAFSA application, and in some cases, the CSS Profile. They will also want to distribute their resources in an equitable manner. And so all students are required to complete the same application forms and provide the same documents to the school as their eligibility is evaluated. The financial aid office will also try to provide a balance of gift aid and self-help aid. And it is not, on rare occasion, it could happen, but it is not usual that a student will receive all gift aid and no self-help aid as a part of their financial aid package. And finally, the colleges are required to implement a variety of federal and state regulations for their college or university. There's lots of compliance and lots of regulations that have to be adhered to when financial aid is being administered. Let's look at the sources of financial aid. The federal government, the state government, and here in New Jersey, it's the Higher Education Student Assistance Authority. There are scholarships, private scholarships, and also scholarships from the colleges and universities. And employers. Employers are probably one of the most underused sources of financial aid. But many employers, especially your large corporate employers, have funds that they provide to the families of employees. So you definitely want to tap into all of these resources as you're looking at your financial aid opportunities. The types of financial aid, there is from the federal government, the federal Pell Grant, the Iraq-Afghanistan Service Grant, the Federal Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant, or SEOG as we call it, the TEACH Grant, Teacher Education Assistance for College and Higher Education, Federal Work Study, which is one of those self-help programs that I mentioned in a previous slide. The Federal Direct Student Loan Program, which is a loan specifically designed for students to apply. And the Federal Plus Loan. These are all the types of financial aid from the federal government. And we're going to look at the financial aid from the state of New Jersey as well. But before we do that, every college in the country is required to have what is called a net price calculator. All of the schools have to have this net price calculator posted on their websites. You may not see it when you first log into the school's website. You may have to click over to all of the financial aid information, but it must be there. And what the net price calculator does is it gives you an idea of what a student would have to pay to attend a particular institution for a full academic year. It doesn't tell you what financial aid you might be eligible to receive, but it does tell you what it would cost. so that when you're looking at various colleges, if cost is a factor, you have an idea of what that is going to look like for a particular school. Now let's drill down and look at the actual amounts of aid that may be available. Looking at gift aid, which is your grants, the federal government has those three programs that I mentioned, the Federal Pell Grant Program, Federal SEOG, and the Teach Grant Program. And you can see the various maximum awards that are available for each one of those programs. Now, these are the awards that are in place for 2022-23. That could change for 23-24. And on July 1 of next year, that is when you'll see if there are going to be changes in the award availability. Self-help loans and gap shortfall solutions. Most colleges have a monthly payment plan that they can offer to you if you don't want to borrow money or if you come up short with the resources that you've set aside for paying for college. Monthly payment plans are an excellent way to pay for the student's education without going into debt. The one downside to the monthly payment plan is that you usually only have the academic year to repay whatever it is you've decided to put on a payment plan. The Federal Direct Loan Program, another self-help program, is for students and students only. The first year dependent student can borrow up to $5,500. The first $3,500 could be need-based, meaning the federal government pays the interest that accrues on the loan while the student is in school. The $2,000, which is unsubsidized, is a loan for which the student is responsible for the interest. For 22-23, the direct loan interest rate is 4.99%, and that is also adjusted every year on July 1st. So what's 4.99 today could be more or less on July 1 of next year. In addition to those loans and those self-help programs, the state of New Jersey has a program called NJ Class. It's a supplemental loan program that a parent would borrow from in order to bridge the gap between what they've received for their family in terms of financial aid and what may still be owing. The supplemental loan program has 3 different repayment arrangements that you can look at depending on how long you need to take those funds out for. And all of the options have a 3% origination fee. Comparable to the NJ Class loan is the Federal Plus Loan Program. Currently, the interest rate is 7.54%, and that interest rate will also be adjusted either upward or downward, or it could possibly remain the same on July 1 of 2023. New Jersey has an array of programs, grants, scholarships, and other programs that are available to New Jersey residents, and I will touch on that in this presentation this evening. First and foremost is the TAG program, or Tuition Aid Grant. The key to all of the financial aid from the state of New Jersey is that the student must file a FAFSA application, or if they are not an eligible non-citizen or a U.S. citizen, they can apply for financial aid from the state of New Jersey using the New Jersey Alternative Financial Aid application. One of the universal themes of applying for New Jersey aid is making sure that you file the appropriate application to be considered for all of the funds that are available from the state of New Jersey. So TAG is the first grant program that I will mention this evening, and it's very comparable to the Federal Pell Grant Program. However, the maximum TAG award is a lot more than Federal Pell if the student qualifies. The EOF program is another grant program from the state of New Jersey. Awards range from $200 to $3,050 annually, depending on the type of school the student elects to attend. The student has to demonstrate educational and economically disadvantaged background, and again, file a FAFSA or a New Jersey Alternative Financial Aid application to receive those funds. There's the Governor's Urban Scholarship. which is for students that reside in a designated community, file the FAFSA or the New Jersey Alternative Financial Aid application, and have a New Jersey eligibility index below 10,500. And the New Jersey eligibility index can be obtained if you go to the www.njgrants.org website. And I'll give you that website address again at the end of the presentation. But you can actually determine what your eligibility index is going to be just by plugging some information into a calculator that is made available on New Jersey's website. To give you an idea of what the income requirement would be to qualify for the EOF program, if you look at this chart that I have here and you look at the blue highlighted line where the applicants have a household size of 4 and the gross income in the household cannot exceed $53,000 a year, and the family cannot have more than $10,600 in assets. So the EOF program is definitely for the low-income student, but if you qualify for the EOF program, most likely you have also qualified for the TAG grant and for the federal Pell Grant, and you can look forward to a robust financial aid package as a result of that. In addition to what I've already mentioned, the state of New Jersey offers the NJ STARS program. And this is a program for students who rank in the top 15% of their class at either the end of the junior or senior year. And while the student is in school, the student must attain a cumulative GPA of 3.0 or higher. Now, this is for attending one of the county colleges here in New Jersey. Starting your post-secondary education at the county college is an absolutely wonderful idea and should be entertained by so many more students, because the family can overall save tens of thousands of dollars by utilizing these programs and by starting the college education at the county college level. So NJ STARS would allow you to actually go to the county college free of charge. And if you graduate and achieve an associate's degree at the county college under the NJ STARS program, you can also be eligible for NJ STARS 2. And NJ STARS 2 allows you to receive an additional up to $2,500 a year to transfer into a public or private 4-year New Jersey college or university. Excellent, excellent programs that you can take advantage of. New Jersey also has 3 important programs that I'd just like to touch on. I won't go into a lot of detail because I'm going to give you the web information at the end of the program where you can actually explore these programs in more detail. But the Community College Opportunity Grant Program is a program for students that may not meet the NJ STARS criteria, but still meet other criteria to be able to get a community college education free of charge. The grant covers tuition and fees, minus any other grants and scholarships the student would have received. Your adjusted gross income from your 2021 tax return has to be between $0 and $65,000 to receive the maximum award. If your adjusted gross income is between $65,001 and $80,000, it will pay up to 50%, of the maximum Community College Opportunity Grant Award. So again, this is another way for you to be able to get your college education paid for at the community college level without any money coming out of your pocket for anything other than perhaps books and incidentals. In addition to the CCOG program, there is the Garden State Guarantee Program if you attend a New Jersey State college or university. It's available for students in their 3rd and 4th years of enrollment. The tuition and fees are free if your adjusted gross income is again between $0 and $65,000. Students with adjusted gross incomes between 65 and 80 will pay a discounted net price of no more than $7,500 for tuition and fees. This is at the New Jersey state colleges and universities. So here's what you do. You get your community college education, get an associate's degree for free if you qualify, and then you transfer into a New Jersey state college or university and pay no more than $7,500 for tuition and fees, if that. Great, great programs. The third program is called the 3+1 Degree Completion Program. The student enrolls in a degree program at the community college, and the community colleges are now offering the same types of degrees that you would undertake if you went into a 4-year public or private university in New Jersey. So the first 2 years at the community college will earn you an associate degree. You pay the community college tuition and fees for the associate degree, and then take the 3rd year of your program at the community college. You attend and pay for the 4-year institution tuition and fees only in the final year. So you're still getting a great bargain in your education if you agree to participate in the 3+1 degree completion program. All 3 of these are excellent programs that you can qualify for if you plan to attend school within the state of New Jersey. In addition to all of that I've already mentioned, there are your institutional and private scholarships. And there are a number of different factors that influence your eligibility for scholarships, but the thing to do is to look into all of the scholarships that might be available to you and apply for them. You won't know if you're eligible, you won't know if you're going to get one if you don't apply. And again, toward the end of the program, I will give you a list of some websites that you can tap into, where you would go to those websites, create a profile, a student profile, and then the scholarship system will actually find scholarships that you could qualify for and send you a list of those scholarships directly to your mailbox so that you can apply to them and see if you receive any of those monies. There are 3 primary applications that I will touch on tonight. The FAFSA application, which is found at studentaid.gov. The profile application, which is found at the College Board website. And the New Jersey Alternative Financial Aid application, which can be found at the New Jersey website, hisa.org. First, the CSS Profile application. There are approximately 400 colleges and organizations that use the CSS Profile to determine how they will award institutional funds to the student. It has no bearing on your eligibility for federal funds or for state funds, but it does determine your eligibility for money from the college. The profile became available on October 1, along with the FAFSA application. And the major difference between the profile and the FAFSA is that the profile application digs a little bit deeper into your family's financial situation and asks for a little bit more information from you than the FAFSA does. Both the FAFSA and the profile use what we call prior year income information. So your income that you're going to use on these 2 applications comes from your 2021 income tax return. Any assets that you have to provide on the FAFSA application will come from current information. In actuality, your asset value as of the day you fill out the form is what would be needed to complete both of these applications. If your family's income is under $100,000, you do not have to pay to have the CSS profile processed. For all others, it's $25 for the first application and $16 for each additional profile that needs to go to a school. And again, you're only going to lists schools on the profile that are required on the profile. So every school that you list on the FAFSA application is not going to require a profile application as well. The profile goes further than the FAFSA. It also considers the value of your primary residence. That isn't included on the FAFSA application. If it owns one, retirement savings and any annuities are included on the profile, but not on the FAFSA. It also will take a deeper, more detailed look at your family's finances than the FAFSA. The profile also considers a greater percentage of those assets as part of what you can afford to pay for your college expenses. Very unlike the FAFSA, there might be a non-custodial profile due from your family, even if there is a single parent in the household. The biological parent that does not live in the household may be required to provide information on what is called a non-custodial profile form. That requirement would vary by school, and in some cases you can get a waiver for that. But there is a non-custodial profile form that could be required depending on the school. And here are the addresses for how to apply for the profile and how to apply for the non-custodial profile. And this information will be provided to the school so that you can have it. And also when you go into the profile application, you'll see all of this detailed information as well. The FAFSA application is a form that is required by every college in the country, unlike the CSS Profile. It also became available on October 1, and it collects families' personal and financial information that's used to calculate a number called the Expected Family Contribution, or the EFC. The FAFSA is filed electronically by FAFSA on the web, and you would go again to the studentaid.gov website in order to begin the process of the FAFSA application. It uses prior year income information, so 2021 is what you're going to use for a FAFSA application for the 23-24 school year. In order for you to complete the FAFSA electronically and sign the FAFSA electronically, the student and one parent have to create what is called a Federal Student Aid ID, or an FSA ID for short. And you would do that also at the studentaid.gov website. In order to enhance security, the ID requires two-step verification. So customers will use their name and password and will also need to provide a secure code that is provided to the user by text, email, or through an authenticator app every time you log in. And this is for security reasons. If you are the parent of a dependent student, you need to have your own FSA ID. Consider that the FSA ID is your electronic signature on documentation. So it's not going to change every time you go into the FAFSA. It will remain the same because it's your signature. The IRS data retrieval tool is a very valuable tool that is used within the FAFSA application. It is used to transfer tax return information directly into the FAFSA so that you don't have to manually enter it yourself. It is also now available, but taxpayers who file married filing separately or who file a foreign tax return are not going to be able to use the data retrieval tool. And you will have to manually enter your tax information into the form. Some general eligibility requirements for the FAFSA. The student must have a valid Social Security number. They have to be enrolled or accepted for enrollment in an eligible program of study. They have to be pursuing a degree, a certificate, or other recognized credential. And they must be a U.S. citizen or an eligible non-citizen. There are two data matches that are performed with the information that you include in the FAFSA. The first data match is with the Social Security Administration, and that is to make sure that your number is valid and that you do in fact have a Social Security number. The second is with the Department of Homeland Security, and that is utilized to verify that you're a U.S. citizen or an eligible non-citizen with a valid visa. The key components of the FAFSA. It is the student's application, so whether the parent is the one who completes it or the student is the one who completes it, the student demographic information is first and foremost on the application. Please do not make the mistake of, as a parent, you putting your information first into the FAFSA application. The student's information goes first. Then you're also going to include the student's income and assets. The student's dependency status is determined in their section of the application as well. And then next will come the parent demographic. So even though it is the student's application, the parents are required to provide their information on the form. And when I say parents, I mean if there are two parents in the household. If there is only one parent in the household, that is the only parent who needs to provide their information on the form. Household size is a factor in determining the student's eligibility for aid, so that should be accurate as well. If it is not accurate and you are selected in a process called verification, you're going to be required to substantiate each individual that is listed in your household. The number in college is also an important number in the calculation of the student's eligibility. Always count the student as a college student in this process, but do not include your parents. Include others only if they will attend at least half-time in 2023-24. Parents' income and assets play a large role in the determination of the student's eligibility for aid. And parents should also use the IRS data retrieval. It's extremely important that you try to use it. Everyone is not going to be able to use it, but please give it a try. If you are a dislocated worker, you were working in 2021, you're not working now, make that notation on the FAFSA. It is very important. Some important considerations about assets and income. Any assets in the student's name weigh into the EFC formula at about 20%. So while it's a good thing that students have money saved and that they may have assets in their name, it will affect their eligibility for financial aid. Any income in the student's name will weigh into the formula at the rate of 50% after the income allowance has been applied against the student's income. Assets weigh in the formula for the parents at the rate of between 5 and 7%. Any income in the formula is based on a number of factors because the parents are the ones that are supporting the household. But again, if the parent, one of the parents in the household, is a dislocated worker, make that notation on the FAFSA. It's important for you to do that. If within your household you receive any federal means tested benefits, such as Medicaid, SSI, SNAP, free or reduced price school lunches, make that notation on the FAFSA application. It is worth your while to do that because those kinds of things, dislocated worker and federal means tested benefits, are looked at a little bit differently when the student's eligibility for aid is being determined. When you get to the portion of the FAFSA where you list the colleges of interest, you can list up to 10. If you have more than 10 that you choose to have your financial aid information sent to, what you have to do is submit the FAFSA with the first 10. Wait until the results come back. And then you can delete any schools that you have on there and replace them with other schools. And then you just have to resubmit the application. Your original FAFSA processing date remains intact. So even if you have to make changes or adjustments or change the schools, as I mentioned, the original process date of your FAFSA will remain intact so that it doesn't look like you're filing your FAFSA late. I encourage you to list the New Jersey college first on your application. The FAFSA data is provided to the state of New Jersey, and they use that data to determine your eligibility for state aid. But if they don't see a New Jersey school on your list, if they don't see a New Jersey school first on your list, it's going to slow down the process of your eligibility being determined, because you can only receive New Jersey aid for a New Jersey school. So please keep that in mind when you're completing your application and listing your schools. Assets that are included in the FAFSA: cash, bank and brokerage accounts, certificates of deposit, money market accounts, mutual funds, stocks, bonds, stock options. No retirement assets are included in the FAFSA. Assets that are not included: your primary residence. Even though it's included on the CSS profile, it is not included on the FAFSA. Again, retirement accounts, life insurance, a 529 account owned by someone other than the parent or the student, an ABLE account, a business or a farm. Even if you're self-employed and your only source of income is coming from your business, if you have less than 100 employees, you do not report your business value on the FAFSA application. Autos, an UTMA or an UGMA is reported by the student. It is not reported as an asset of the parent. How are 529 plans factored into the FAFSA? The value of a 529 plan owned by a dependent student or one of their parents is considered a parent asset on the FAFSA, not the student's. About the first $10,000 will fall under the asset protection allowance. The exact amount depends on the older parent's age. Any parental assets beyond that will reduce a student's aid package by about 5 to 7% of the asset value. So again, it's important for the assets that are in the parent's name to be reflected as such, so that you minimize any assets that have to be reported in the student's name. So you've included all your income, you've included all your assets, you signed the FAFSA with your FSA IDs and your passwords. Now you're at the confirmation page, and you have two options here. Number one, you can go ahead and start your state application to apply for New Jersey state aid. Number two, if you have another child in the household who is also going to be going to college in 23-24, and for whom you are required to provide your information as a parent, you can actually have your information from this particular FAFSA transferred over to a second or subsequent FAFSA so that you don't have to retype that information in. Some common mistakes that are made on the FAFSA: the student's name as it appears on the Social Security card, their Social Security number and date of birth don't all match what is with Social Security. If you do not get a Social Security match, you may have to actually do the FAFSA all over again because it will be rejected. So please have a copy of the Social Security card or some other government document in front of you when you are completing the FAFSA application. It's very, very important that you do that. Parent section versus student section. You want to make sure that if you as the parent are the one that is going to be completing this FAFSA application, make sure that you start the FAFSA with the student's application and not with yours. It could create problems, and you could have some difficulty actually transmitting the FAFSA if you don't have the information in the correct sections. Make sure that you can validate the number of people in the household. If you are divorced and remarried, the step parent in the household is required to include his or her financial information on the FAFSA application, even though they may not have any legal obligation to support the student applicant. If you have to manually enter your information into the FAFSA, make sure that the taxes paid versus taxes withheld is accurate, because you don't want to overstate your taxes paid, but you also don't want to understate it. Do not include Social Security benefits on the FAFSA application. Anything that is taxable will already be reported on your tax return, so you don't have to add it again. And you definitely do not want to include Social Security benefits. Make sure that you include assets. Do not leave that blank on the FAFSA application, even if it's zero. You need to include that information on the FAFSA. Students are randomly selected for verification, whether it's from the federal government or whether it's from the state. But if you use that IRS data retrieval tool that I've mentioned several times, you do reduce the likelihood of being selected. If you are selected, you are going to have to actually provide documentation to support some of the information that you've included on the form. If you are one of those students that falls into the category of not having a Social Security number, you go directly to the HESA.org website. Do not complete a FAFSA. Do not complete a profile. Go to the HESA.org website, register for your account by creating a user ID and a password, log in, and complete the required application by all of the deadlines. When you do go into the New Jersey website, you're going to go right here to the NJFAMS portion of the website. NJFAMS stands for New Jersey Financial Aid Management System. And you're going to go here, and you're going to be able to go to njgrants.org from this webpage, where you can actually find out what your New Jersey eligibility index is and establish a FAMS account by creating a user ID and the password. And after you've done that, that's about all you really have to do in terms of a New Jersey application. Because what will happen next is you will go to your to-do list. And this to-do list will tell you what, if anything, you have to do to complete the application process for the state of New Jersey. Initially, when you go there, you're not going to find anything because it takes them 2 to 3 weeks to actually get your FAFSA results. But when they do get your results, they'll direct you back to this page and you'll see what you have to do to complete your process. So let's now take a look at what the colleges will look at to determine your eligibility for aid. First, they establish a cost of attendance for financial aid. And the cost of attendance starts out as a unique number for every student, and it includes these components. But then there are perhaps some unexpected costs that are really going to vary from student to student. Perhaps you have to take a remediation class, or you decide to change your major at some point, or down the road you decide to study abroad. The cost of attendance is based on some set costs that are associated with each program that the college offers, but then there could be additional costs based on your individual educational needs. So the cost of attendance is component number 1. Component number 2 is the expected family contribution, or the EFC. And this is the amount your family is expected to contribute toward your college education. So the Department of Ed uses this number to determine your financial need, which influences the types of federal, state, and institutional aid you can access. And in some cases, it will also indicate the amount. So let's take a quick look at a sample EFC. The family lives in New Jersey. They're married parents, household size of 4, with 1 child going to college. The 2021 adjusted gross income for this family is $99,000. They have $15,000 saved away in the bank. The student has no income and no assets. In this scenario, the EFC is $15,000. And it will remain $15,000 regardless of the school the student ultimately decides to attend. So looking at the different types of institutions, let's look at how that $15,000 EFC affects the eligibility for financial aid. At the community college, there is no financial need because the EFC is greater than the cost of attendance. At the state college or university, where the cost might be between $30,000 and $35,000 a year, that same $15,000 EFC is going to yield a financial need of $15,000 or more. And that $15,000 need is where the school will look to actually replace that need with various types of financial aid. At the private college or university, there is a greater need, and I can say with some certainty that the eligibility for financial aid increases, and also the availability of financial aid increases at the private college or university. So let's look at the cycle of financial aid. From October to about March, the student completes the FAFSA application, the profile application, all admissions applications, and gets all of that paperwork out of the way. Typically, if a student files early action or early decision, they'll actually get their award letter sometime in November or early December. But most award letters will go out between February and May of the subsequent year, because schools have tens of thousands of financial aid award letters to prepare and send out. And they're not going to do that all, number one, right away. And in many cases, they will not send an award letter to a student who hasn't completed the admissions application process for their school. So February to May, the award letters go out. And in June and July, the school sends the fall semester bill. So where do you go from here? You want to obtain and review all of the admission financial aid materials and deadlines from each school to which you are applying, and make sure that you meet all application deadlines. Once you've submitted your FAFSA, if the school asks you for additional paperwork, get it in right away. It's so important when your eligibility for financial aid is being determined and when your financial need is calculated. Look at the other resources that are available, the outside scholarships, the payment plans, the campus employment. The specialized campus opportunities are usually available to the student once they've actually begun to take their education courses at the college. Residential advisor, student ambassador, student tour guides, internships, co-ops, these are all available once you're in school, but they are opportunities to earn some money to help defray some of the personal expenses that might not be covered by the financial aid you receive. Look at private scholarships. Do a private scholarship search. Do it on several different websites and maximize the number of scholarships that are available for you to apply for. If you don't fill out your profile and you don't apply for these scholarships, they're not going to come to you automatically. You have got to do your part. Use the local library resources. Use the guidance office. Look into local businesses, civic organizations, and churches. Look on the individual college websites. The colleges have scholarships that you can apply for as well. But these resources that I have listed here are some of the more popular ones that you can look into and where you can create your profile and have these scholarships sent to you. Let's take a look at some special circumstances and how you handle that. Special circumstances are conditions that exist that cannot be documented with the FAFSA. You can document your special circumstances on a CSS profile, but many of you are going to have schools that don't require the profile, but you have situations that you need to be able to explain to the school. What you have to do is send written explanation and documentation to the college's financial aid office, but you can't do that until they've received all of your financial aid paperwork. So that's first and foremost what you need to do. Once the college receives your documentation and your explanation, they can review, and if they feel like they need more information from you to make a decision about whether to revise some of the information on your financial aid paperwork, they may ask for additional information. Send them whatever they ask for if you want to be considered for more money. Some of the special circumstances that people have enumerated and that have been cause for concern, especially when you're using a tax return from 2 years ago. Unusual uncovered medical and dental expenses. A parent or a spouse has passed away since you did that 2021 tax return. You've lost employment or income. Maybe you're still working, but you're in a different job and you're making less money. Or your rent has gone up, or your mortgage payment has gone up exponentially, and you just can't make ends meet, and you need help. That's not going to be reflective of the information on your FAFSA, so you need to notify the school separately of that. You have extraordinary dependent care because you had to go out to work to bring money into the household, and you have to pay for child care. You've undergone a divorce or a separation since you completed the 2021 tax return. Or you're paying private school tuition. These are some of the special circumstances that the colleges see most often. And if you find yourself in one of these situations, that is the process that you would undertake in order to inform them of your situation. If you need any more information about New Jersey's programs and services, here is your New Jersey contact information and the websites connected with the state of New Jersey that you can tap into if you need to apply for an NJ class loan, if you need more information about the tuition aid grant program, if you need to update your information with the NJ FAMS website. Whatever it is you need, these are your HESA resources that you can tap into. If you're having difficulty completing your FAFSA or understanding something in the FAFSA application, this is your contact information at the Federal Student Aid Information Center. And these are the websites that you are going to look at if you need to do various tasks in connection with your FAFSA or with your financial aid or with a federal direct loan, things of that nature. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask me as your presenter, please feel free to email me, give me a call, or if you have a document you'd like me to take a look at as you go through the financial aid process, here is my fax number. Thank you all very, very much. And please don't hesitate to reach out to me with any questions you might have.